Um, you know, that holy that Holy Orders Task Force in 2017, it says explicitly like both positions cannot be right and we need to move forward. So that is the telos of coming to a resolution is embedded in that document. So we have to push forward. And your proposal is one proposal. So I'm just curious what you wrote about and what you're thinking on that line.
And I want to acknowledge, like, this is the place where our doctrine at some level influences all of our thinking, I would hope, about structures and things. But this is the one place where the document veers into a very contested territory. So conceivably, I think someone could have these 8 planks, and then that other plank, they could take the opposite view. And
Yeah.
I think, in my view, that this would still be a coherent sketch. Now, I'm not saying it's perfect, but either way. But I felt like you couldn't sketch out this kind of reform without somehow taking a position on this issue. And so what I did, and I didn't argue for it a lot in there, was articulate the position I hold and the position of the diocese that I'm in. And so just cards on the table. It's certainly, that's very debatable in terms of, well, why did you do that? And that gets into a whole other kind of set of non-structural questions. But I don't think that it's tenable to, well, let me put it this way. I don't think you can settle the overlapping jurisdiction question without having a settlement on this.
Yeah.
And because I think the overlapping jurisdiction question is so irregular, I don't think I think it's deleterious and harmful to us. So it's like, you can't settle it though without coming to a settlement on this. And so my position, I hold to a traditional understanding of that, every Anglican and Roman Catholic and Orthodox has held on the priesthood prior to the first woman priest in the Anglican tradition was 1944. So I do believe that is the biblical Catholic understanding of priestly orders. And so to me, that is, and then there's a practical side of this. Well, why would you do that? Well, the vast majority of the churches that we have, even in dioceses that do ordain women as priests, are led by male rectors. And so just practically speaking, this would seem to me to be the most workable position and settlement for us to adopt.
So it's both your conviction, but also you see it as a compromise position potentially with the lay of the land.
It's not a compromise if you're for women's ordination to the priesthood. Yeah. I mean, and I think that has to be said fairly. Like, this is if that is your view, this would be a big loss.
Yeah.
And, a piece like this is meant to generate discussion. If someone has a much better way to achieve, I still hold my view and I will articulate for it robustly, but if someone has a better way, I'm not opposed. So like when I was in the Diocese of Sydney, that diocese had a unified position on orders. The Diocese of Melbourne, the Diocese of Brisbane, different positions. And that did inhibit communion to some extent, but the province still worked because those had evolved within a geographical system. But we don't have that. And so even to get to the point of having a province that can tolerate diversity means having the system set up. But to set the system up, you got to have a settlement to reestablish it.